What's up, losers? Today I'm back with another r/fatlogic extravaganza. Taking a look at a couple of amusing, obnoxious, or otherwise noteworthy fat acceptance posts, sharing my thoughts on them, and doing my best to keep things as entertaining as possible. This is episode 144 in the fatlogic series. And I'm ready to be chastised for my unrepentant fatphobia, so without further delay, let's get into it.
Shrinking your body isn't your life's purpose. Society will tell you it is. But listen to me, darling. Fat is where it's at.
Fat is where it's at. Ha, I've been told differently, mostly by fat people, believe it or not. From what I hear, fat is most certainly not where it's at. On the contrary, it's frustrating, limiting in a bunch of ways, often embarrassing, and severely damaging to a person's health. Which probably helps to explain why so many fat people want to lose weight. No matter how many catchy slogans you come up with, and I have to admit, fat is where it's at is catchy. But no matter how many such slogans you produce, the reality is that most fat people do not feel that being obese is all peaches and cream. So while you might be able to sell a few t-shirts to fat activists who have already well and truly drunk the Kool-Aid, I don't think you'll be convincing many fat people with their heads screwed on right. As for the question of whether shrinking your body is your life's purpose, obviously it's not, but the claim that this is what society actually believes seems pretty damn tenuous to me. Like, going on a diet does not require you to make dieting your whole life. It just requires you to eat a little less, eat a little healthier, and, if you're so inclined, spend a couple of hours a week exercising. Fat activists like to pretend that weight loss requires some kind of sinister deal with the devil, where you sign away your life to drop a few pounds. But this is simply not true, and it's very clearly just a way of rationalizing their own inaction. Because if they honestly owned up to how little they would actually have to do to lose weight, it would reflect rather poorly on their stubborn resistance to do anything about the situation, and the overblown hysterics they resort to when questioned about it. So basically, this point, and the post as a whole really, is little more than a cheap distraction from what should be recognized as a very serious issue. Surprise, surprise. Oh, and this is a bit random, but I don't like how the post uses the word darling, like I'm not your darling. Can we keep things proper and formal, please? That darling made me very uncomfy. I don't know where the post was taken from, so maybe it was more fitting in its original context. But either way, I'm not a fan of darling. No sir, ha ha. But anyway, let's move on.
Important message from a group of anti-diet dietitians. You never have to eat fruits and vegetables if you don't want to. Diet culture will trick you into trying to simplify health down to nutrients. But it's not that simple.
Ha ha ha, oh my god. Anti-diet dietitians. Really? That's a thing that exists. Is it? What a time to be alive. Talk about wearing your snake oil ridiculousness on your sleeve. Like seriously, imagine meeting someone who unironically told you that their occupation was that of an anti-diet dietitian. Surely you'd laugh them out of the room. They might as well be a traveling salesman of tinfoil hats, ha ha. And what do they say to people who seek them out professionally for diet advice? Oh sorry, I know that I'm a dietitian, but actually I don't believe in dieting or nutrients or any of that stuff. Have a cheeseburger. What an absolute joke, LMAO, I can't. I'm also just flabbergasted that any dietitian would tell people that they don't need to eat fruits and vegetables. I mean, I thought that the importance of such foods was pretty much unquestioned. Even most fat activists, who believe all kinds of wacky things about calories and whatnot, probably understand that you need some fruit and veggies in your diet. So that you don't, get scurvy. And personally, even the mere thought of going days or weeks without any fruit or veggies grosses me out. I can't imagine how I would feel after a month or longer. Yikes. But no need to worry. According to these anti-diet dietitians, nutrients are like totes no big deal. They're just an invention of diet culture. Or something. It's so much more complicated than that. And really, you'll be just fine without them. Don't mind all those sailors who got scurvy and died hundreds of years ago. They were just overwhelmed by diet culture, or something. It had absolutely nothing to do with vitamin C deficiency, or anything like that. And if you believe hard enough in the fat acceptance cause, then you can be healthy eating whatever you like, nutrients be damned. Size. The quackery knows no bounds. Man, unbelievable.
I lost weight on my last diet. So that's proof it worked. Me, so you're done dieting, then? Well, I really craved food all the time, had no energy, and felt moody. Then I lost my willpower, and eventually gained it back. Me, so it didn't really work then.
Man, this post really is the perfect example of someone who thinks that they're being clever, when they're actually just owning themselves. Like, all this exchange really serves to illustrate is that the person who went on the diet is mature enough to take responsibility for their own actions, while the poster is not. Where the person who failed the diet is able to recognize the difficulties that they encountered, and how this contributed to their ultimate failure of will. They still understand that it was not the diet itself that failed, because they did, in fact, lose weight, and that it was their reversion to earlier habits that resulted in them putting the weight back on over time. For the poster, however, any difficulty or discomfort that one might encounter on their weight loss journey automatically provides a justification for them to throw in the towel. And instead of taking ownership of this decision, they blame the diet itself, even though, as we've already established, the diet was already proven to work as a weight loss plan. I don't know if I even have the words for how childish this mindset is. Like, it basically implies that you are entitled to the rewards of any task, simply for giving it a quick go, and that if you give up when the going gets tough, this doesn't reflect badly on you whatsoever. It's entirely the fault of the task itself, and the people who have the grit and determination to succeed at it. And throw your shortcomings into such stark relief, are not to be emulated, but vilified, because you would rather throw your toys out of the cot than show a little humility. Size. Petulant doesn't even begin to cover it. It's pathetic. All of that was basically an overly convoluted way of saying, this post is, in my humble opinion, a giant cell phone that highlights the sad immaturity of the fat acceptance movement, and utterly fails to debunk dieting in the way that it was no doubt intended to. 1 out of 10 pretty terrible. Onto the last post.
Skinny people are easier to kidnap. Stay safe. Eat cake.
Okay, so I mainly just included this one because it's the second time I've seen this point about fat people being harder to kidnap. And, well, I just find that rather strange. Like, it still seems an utterly bizarre thing to brag about to me, and it probably says something that being too heavy to stuff in the back of a van is apparently so high up the list of advantages to being fat. I don't know if it balances out the terrible health consequences, the immobility, or the loss of one's independence that severe obesity can bring about. But if it gives fat activists something to feel good about, then I guess there's no harm in that. For what it's worth, though, you wouldn't catch me wearing a bag like that, haha. So don't be getting it for me come Christmas time. Well, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you had a good time reading through these posts with me, and that my commentary offered some additional value. What do you think? Is fat where it's at? Is it wise to stop eating fruit and veggies altogether? Does someone quitting the diet prove that the diet doesn't work? Is being harder to kidnap worth the cost of being fat? Let me know in the comments. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, or I'll make you follow a fruit and veggie-free diet plan. Written up by an anti-diet dietitian. Just kidding, haha. Anyway, catch you later.